Welcome to Thriver TV, where it's my greatest mission to help you not just merely survive, but truly heal and thrive after narcissistic abuse. Today, I want to talk to you about courage, how to stand up to a narcissist, what that looks like and how it plays out. But before I do, I just want to remind you, if you're new to my channel and if you like my content, please subscribe and also to like and share this video with people who it can help and your communities. All right, let's get into this. How can you break through the terror to discover just how powerless a narcissist really is? First, I need to help you understand how we got here. Now, this is kind of important, so just hang with me, because let's imagine that you drove your car and you got into a bog, you got it bogged. If you don't realize how you got bogged, you may not get your car out of it. So this is why I want to talk to you about how and why narcissists are in our life, to understand how you do get out of it. This is what I believe. Narcissists infiltrate our lives because we've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten our connection to source, our soul source, our true self connection. Narcissists are a false self. They're a false authority. They sidle up to us and they slip in pretending to be something we want in order to feel more whole and happy. Things like love, approval, security, and survival. And unfortunately, we didn't, and this was unconscious, we didn't know yet that we had the power, independent from them, to seek out, know, and create the things that are going to make us whole for ourselves. So let me give you some really simple examples. So let's say someone who feels brokenhearted and they're on their own, and they haven't yet come into their source, God, consciousness, connection. And this isn't religious. This is just about a higher power and a wholeness and a peace within. So somebody who hasn't as yet, which was all of us, and this is where I was too, hadn't yet discovered those delicious feelings of life force and love and appreciation and inner wholeness, which is all of our natural states without fear and pain and separation from source. If we're living separated from source, we're literally separated from our own soul, and then we're really, really susceptible without knowing it, trying to get peace and comfort and wholeness and feelings of love and safety from outside of ourselves. And what we do in those states is we unconsciously, without knowing it, we accept in false sources, false light. They're not true sources. And this is the starting point of this. Because if we're not willing to look at this clearly and not understand how this happened, it really means we're not on the football field, let alone near the goals. And I was that person, because it's our normal. We don't know any different. Narcissists feed off this. They literally hunt for you. If you're in fear and you're empty and you haven't come home to yourself and your source soul connection, then you're not filled and whole and self-generative. And this was all of us. And this was our normal. It's not natural, but it was our normal. And then there's this gap there, you see. And a narcissist can come along and they promise to you love, approval, security, and survival. They're big and shiny. And what happens is unconsciously they feel like our savior. It's like being We're still a child in our body, and it's like a parent, a big protective, loving parent that's going to come and grant us this, and we can fall for it. Now what happens is we become hooked on that love, that approval from the narcissist, or the security, the survival, all of those things that we didn't know we could provide for ourselves through source. And because you're hooked, a narcissist can start demeaning you, accusing you, shaming you. And the reason they're doing this is because they're wanting to control you to agree with and go along with their version of things, which is inverted. It's not loving, it's self-serving for them, and it's mining and exploiting you so that they can get what they want and literally suck you dry. So they start demeaning and abusing you and accusing you, and your body knows that it's wrong, but they're shaming you back into agreeing with them. And we do it because them as our source, we want to get love and approval from them again. So these are trauma bonds. And as the abuse and the trauma bonds deepen, the narcissist can actually do a lot more of the abusing and much less of the love and approval. So at the start, you were love bombed and there was a ton of love and approval and you didn't see the abusing, but the script gets flipped and then there's much more of the abusing, and they only have to throw you a tiny bit of love and approval to keep you there. Now let's look at security and survival. If you don't believe that you have the capacity to generate your own security and survival, what means is that you're going to stay connected to people that are hurting you to try to stay safe. And you may go along with them, appeasing them, agreeing with what they're saying, rather than stepping back and seeking out responsibly and methodically what your truth is. So it could be a business partner that may come into our lives and they say, well, you know, I have the goods and I can get you these contacts and, you know, you really need me because this is my area of expertise. And it's really like the expression that if you're hungry, you're going to make a really bad grocery shopper, because rather than take your time and go down the aisles to the organic produce and think about your macros and your nutrients and what's going to be healthy, you're just going to shove junk food into your cart. And this is what we do when we feel empty and needy and not connected to source. We just believe people. Don't do critical thinking. Don't take responsibility to make wise, safe choices. Because a narcissist can come into your life pretending they have the goods, that they can increase your safety, your resources, and your well-being, with no real evidence. It's a whole lot of smoke and mirrors. And you may go along by thinking that they're an authority to be trusted. And we all know, those of us who've been narcissistically abused, whether it be a friendship or in a work situation or a business or in a personal relationship, the results are disastrous. You get emptied out and your security and survival and your self-esteem and your health ends up in the gutter. What's happened is the narcissist has exploited you at significant cost to you, and they've been able to further their own self-serving agenda, because that's what narcissists do. They steal your life force, your property, your resources, and pretty much anything that they can get from you, as well as your soul. And mind you, this is what we have to realize. If you took your time observing people before committing and really searched it out, you would find a trail of destruction, cock-ups, disasters, conflicting information, and maybe even criminal behaviour. And you would know that this is a wolf in sheep's clothing. But here it is. If we're too distracted with our everyday life, we can be asleep at the wheel. regarding, and here's the really important part, regarding the responsibility to be your own source diligently. It's no one else's job to be your authority other than you as an adult in your own body. And we haven't realized that. And until you do realize that, you could be susceptible to being mined and harvested by a narcissist. Now, I've started with this for a very, very, very good reason. Because how do we snap out of our fear with narcissists? How do we get the courage to fight back? We do it by taking back our power. And by setting the scene to help you understand how we got into this mess, just as I had to really, really honestly own, this will help you understand how you get the courage to get out of it. First, you have the courage to see the truth, to stand up to a narcissist. Here's the truth. This person does not have your best interests at heart. This person is not interested in making deals with you, modifying their behaviour, starting to act like a nice human being, and changing in order so that you can have some sort of love, approval, security, and survival. This person is not even interested in granting you some peace and leaving you alone without getting the ego feed of keeping you traumatized and unable to get on with your life, even if they finally discard you. Now, this is the creepy truth about narcissists. They implant traumas into you that literally mean that they are living on inside of you, even if you get away from them. So there is no closure, peace, or healing that you are going to get from the narcissist whatsoever. This is important to understand. You can't make a deal with them. You can't get closure with them. You can't get them to right their wrongs. Please know that. Now, going back to the start where we handed over being our own healthy source. We gave this responsibility to a false source. So to have the courage to stand up to a narcissist, you have to stop looking to this person for your salvation. Stop looking to them for anything that will make you feel better. Stop trying to make deals. You may think the courage to stand up to a narcissist means sitting them down, getting your point across, having a voice and being heard. It's not. Every attempt you make to do that is twisted and turned into word salad, flung back in your face, and used to trigger you emotionally down some other track where the narcissist can spin you into their web again and emotionally keep maiming you. And as the decent individual that you are, you have no skills in this arena. For a narcissist, it's their run-of-the-mill sport. It's their disgraceful superpower. It's where they thrive in that environment. So stop trying to negotiate. Let go. That's how you start to build up the courage inside of you, by taking your power back. Stop participating. Stop believing anything they say, promise, or even do. Even if a narcissist lightens up or grants you something you want, it's actually only a sideways move to get ready to take you down even further again. You have to face that truth. You have to know thy enemy. You have to accept what you are up against. Okay, so we've set all that in place. Now, I'm going to talk to you about changing the battle. In any battle, you need a goal. What is the end result you want? Here, your goal is to take back your soul and your life. Your stand against the narcissist is the word no. And what does no mean? It means no more. It means I no longer participate with this garbage. So how do you stand up to a narcissist? You have to change the rules of the fight. You take it from direct personal conflict onto the true battlefield where it's really going on. This is a spiritual war. It is a spiritual war. It's an energetic, emotional, spiritual, unseen war of light versus dark that you're actually engaged in. Now you know that you have felt like you have a dark ink running through your veins. This is not normal, this is not logical. You've had the creepy feelings of feeling like your life force is being sucked from you. This is a spiritual war. And I'm not meaning that this is religious, it's energetic. And what I really mean is what's happening inside of you. This is about your beingness. If you are handing your life force to a narcissist, you can't stand up to them and you will fear them. You fear that they can mess with your levels of love, approval, security and survival because they are the source of these things to you. They're not. It's a lie. It's an inversion of the truth. Your true spiritual war is with your emotions regarding this. Because this is where your reality unfolds from. It's your emotion, energy in motion. It's quantum. Stay with me. You are in a battle for your soul. And every time the narcissist can hook you in and trigger you into distress and unfairness and feelings of abuse and helplessness and hopelessness and victimization and injustice, he or she is ripping out and sucking up pieces of your life force. You know how it feels. You may think this is dramatic, but every single one of you know what I'm saying is the truth because you felt it. Now here's the deal. These people are only powerful in your life when you haven't taken back your own inner being, source, soul, connection, your own autonomous power and truth and connection to source. And when you haven't positioned or valued your soul as your authority, that's when you've handed power over. Source, soul connection is your authority. And here's the thing, the narcissist has had to convince you that they are the center of your universe and that you have no connection through your source and your soul. And you don't have access to unlimited permutations without them, which you do. There is endless, unlimited possibilities and miracles and all of the available resources of source and life to back you up when you connect to your true source, soul, autonomous being. When we're being narcissistically abused, we forget the coded inner cellular truth that we all know when we remember who we really are. Who you really are is an unlimited being with unlimited avenues, potential, synchronicity and miracles available when you let go of false sources that have inverted the truth of life and release yourself and do the inner work to diligently return to the truth. Okay, what does courage look like against a narcissist? This true story from a NART member portrays it perfectly. This beautiful NART member, she still lived with a narcissist. She moved into the bedroom and stopped communicating with him. Step number 1. He raged and guilted her and tried to trigger her with the things that she was saying, with things, by trying to get the kids against her. And she didn't respond. She didn't bite. And then what she did is she went to her bedroom and she addressed and released those triggered parts of herself with NART module number 1, and then it didn't affect her. When he did it, she felt benign. She felt nothing. He then started love bombing her and pleaded with her that he promised to change. She said no, didn't respond, and she went and did module 6 work of NARP so that she didn't feel responsible for him. And then that didn't affect her, didn't trigger her, didn't hook her in. He then ghosted her and started dating other women in front of her. He was on the phone to them and dating apps, and she didn't get hooked in, even though it really hurt. So she went to her bedroom again and cleared masses of trauma and fear with module 1 and module 9 of NARP until it didn't affect her. Emotionally, it was benign. He then threatened her he would take the kids in the house, which triggered more stuff. And she went and cleared more fear and pain with module 4 and module 8 of NARP. Then he got a solicitor and started threatening her. And she kept clearing pain and fear, more module 8 stuff, and could just say to him without an emotional reaction, fine, I'll see you in court. He then pushed her physically and it really scared her. She went to her bedroom, she did module 1, module 8 work, and then fronted him with, so strong in her own body. And she looked him in the eyes and she said, if you dare lay one hand on me again, I'm calling the police and I'm going to charge you. And it was full fearless ferocity. She was like a lioness. He didn't respond, he backed off, and she said no more. Shortly after that, he packed his bags and he left. And he'd previously said to her, I'm not leaving the house, you have to leave. She filed with her solicitor to sell the house and settle. He ended up agreeing to everything. She got a great settlement and she got the custody that she wanted with her children. He didn't fight back against a thing. Why not? Because she didn't fear him. She stood up to him. It didn't matter what he tried to do to trigger, threaten, or otherwise. She kept releasing her fear and pain about all and any of it and kept filling up with source, which is that source-soul connection, which is courage. What is courage? Walking your truth. That's what courage is. She'd shifted out of the woman who used to hand power away to him, and she took her power back. It's the ultimate insult, and it is literally a terror to a narcissist to be in the presence of someone who's not scared of them, hooked in by them, and who doesn't fall for their bluff and bullying. I want you to think of vampires, how they react in the presence of a great shining light. They shriek and they have to get out of there. Narcissists cannot exist in the force of a true self light. And I really want you to understand that. And you get to understand when you're a true self light, being a true self, that everything that's false can't stand, cannot defeat you. You know, you might think it's cliche that the light wins, but it does. Anyway, I hope that that's explained the deeper quantum truths about this and where your courage really, really comes from. And I really want to recommend to you that if you don't know how to take that journey back to true self and source, please sign up for my 16-day free course, because it's going to start unraveling this to you. It'll take you to my free webinar where you can have a quantum freedom healing and an introduction to NARP and how it can change your life beyond description. So you'll see the links in the show notes. All right. I hope this has helped. I'm looking forward to your comments. And until the next one, keep smiling, keep healing, and keep thriving, because there's nothing else to do. Lots of love. Bye-bye.